Have you ever felt anxious when everything around you changes? Have you ever wished to hold on to a moment, a person, or an emotion forever? In today's video, we will explore an essential truth of life, impermanence. This is not just a Buddhist concept, but an undeniable reality that helps us live peacefully and lightly in all circumstances. Impermanence, anicca, is one of the three characteristics of existence in Buddhist teachings, alongside suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. Impermanence means that everything in life is constantly changing. Nothing is fixed or eternal. From nature, people, emotions, thoughts, to circumstances, everything is in a continuous state of transformation. Recognizing impermanence helps us reduce suffering when facing loss, failure, or unexpected changes. When we cling to something, hoping it will last forever, change becomes a source of suffering. On the other hand, when we understand that everything is transient, we accept life with greater peace. People often experience suffering because they resist change. When a relationship ends, a loved one passes away, or a career faces obstacles, we feel lost and unstable. The root cause of suffering is not in the events themselves, but in how we react to them. If we recognize that these are natural aspects of life, we will gradually learn to embrace everything as it comes. We often try to control everything around us, hoping life will go according to our wishes. However, this very need for control becomes the source of anxiety and suffering. When we realize that everything changes, including our own emotions, we become more adaptable and flexible in life. The Buddha taught all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. This means that anything that arises will change and eventually fade away over time. When we do not cling to anything, we will not suffer when it changes. Instead of resisting reality, let us learn to flow with life, appreciating each moment without being bound by unrealistic expectations. After understanding impermanence and its connection to suffering, the question arises: how can we live lightly without being burdened by life's endless changes? The answer lies in the art of letting go. Letting go does not mean giving up everything or becoming indifferent to life. Rather, it is about living without attachment to impermanent things. When we lessen our attachment to material possessions, fame, emotions, or unrealistic expectations, we discover true peace. In this section, we will explore methods to cultivate the ability to let go, making each day lighter and more meaningful. How to practice letting go. Letting go is a mental training process that frees us from unnecessary attachments and fears. To practice letting go, we must first identify what is causing our emotional entanglements, whether it be unrealistic expectations, attachments to the past, or worries about the future. When we understand the impermanent nature of everything, we will find it easier to accept that nothing lasts forever. Practicing mindfulness is an essential method to help us live fully in the present without being overwhelmed by negative thoughts. Additionally, cultivating compassion for ourselves and others helps us release control and replace it with acceptance and unconditional love. Learning to let things come and go naturally brings lightness to the mind, freeing it from unnecessary burdens. When we let go of inner struggles, we find true peace in every moment of life. So how can we effectively practice letting go in daily life? Let's explore simple yet profound methods to cultivate detachment and find peace in each moment. 1. Identify attachments. Observe and recognize what we are clinging to. It could be a relationship, an expectation, a negative emotion, or even a rigid self-image. Ask yourself, if I lose this, how will I feel? When we clearly understand what holds us back, we can gradually let it go with awareness. 2. Understand the nature of things. Everything in life operates under the law of impermanence. When we realize that emotions, circumstances, people, and even material things are constantly changing, we become less attached and anxious. Reflect on something that is troubling you and ask, will this last forever? Understanding that everything is temporary allows us to let go and embrace life with lightness. 3. Practice mindfulness. Living fully in the present helps us avoid getting caught up in past regrets or future anxieties. Mindfulness is the art of observing oneself without judgment, helping us become more aware of our emotions, thoughts, and actions. By focusing on the breath, feeling each inhale and exhale, we can calm our minds amidst life's chaos. Cultivate compassion. When we love ourselves and others unconditionally, we stop trying to control everything. Compassion expands our hearts, allowing us to accept imperfections in ourselves and others. Start with small acts of kindness, such as forgiving someone who hurt you, listening without judgment, or simply reminding yourself that everyone is learning and growing. As compassion spreads, we feel lighter, freer, and less bound by negativity. Learn to accept. Sometimes the best way to let go is to accept that there are things we cannot change. Acceptance does not mean resignation, but rather understanding that life moves in its own way. When we stop resisting things beyond our control, our minds become more at peace. Embrace imperfections in yourself and others, living a life of contentment and serenity. On the path to enlightenment, the Buddha left behind many profound stories that help us understand the nature of impermanence and letting go. These stories are not only philosophical but also very practical, applicable to our daily lives. Let us explore the valuable lessons from his teachings so that we can view life with a more open mind, no longer bound by attachment and the fear of change. Each story brings us a different perspective on impermanence, from the pain of loss to acceptance to the way we can let go peacefully. By understanding and applying these lessons, we will learn to live more freely, savoring every moment without worrying about things beyond our control. Let us listen to the deep stories of the Buddha about impermanence and letting go, so that we can draw valuable lessons on how to face change. These stories not only help us better understand the nature of life, but also bring tranquility to our minds, teaching us how to release what cannot be held on to and accept the natural flow of all things. The story, the mustard seed, and Kisagotami. One of the most famous stories about impermanence is the story of Kisagotami. After losing her only child, she was overwhelmed with grief and despair and searched for a way to bring her child back. Hearing of the Buddha, she went to him for help. The Buddha told her to find a mustard seed from a family that had never experienced death, and she set off with great hope. However, no matter where she went, she realized that there was no family that had never experienced loss. This answer awakened her from the illusion of permanence, helping her understand that birth, aging, sickness, and death are natural laws that no one can escape. This realization helped her let go of her grief, open her heart to the reality, and eventually become a devoted disciple of the Buddha, following the path to enlightenment. The story of the raft. The Buddha once told a story about a man who encountered a wide river blocking his way. With no bridge or boat, he decided to create a raft by tying together branches and vines. Through persistence and creativity, he managed to cross the river successfully. However, once he reached the other shore, he hesitated, wondering whether he should keep the raft with him. He thought that since the raft had helped him cross the river, he should continue carrying it for the rest of his journey. The Buddha explained that, just like the raft, there are things in life that are essential for a certain period. But if we cling to them, even when they are no longer necessary, we will inadvertently turn them into a burden. This is true for our beliefs, thoughts, and even teachings. They are tools that help us overcome challenges, but at some point we must know when to let go in order to continue our journey with more ease and freedom. The story of the broken cup. One of the Buddha's disciples once asked, "Venerable Sir, how can you remain so calm in the face of all the changes in life?" The Buddha gently picked up a cup and smiled. "To me, this cup is already broken." The disciple was surprised, looking at the cup still whole in the Buddha's hands. The Buddha continued, "I know that one day, whether I want it or not, this cup will fall and break. But because I know this in advance, I appreciate every moment it remains whole, savoring every sip of water from it without clinging to it or worrying about the loss." Though simple, this story carries a deep philosophy. If we truly understand the impermanence of all things, we will learn to live fully in the present without fear when something leaves us. This acceptance is not indifference, but an awakened attitude of gratitude for every moment in life. Impermanence and letting go are not just lofty philosophies, but can be directly applied to our daily lives to help us live more peacefully. When we understand the nature of change and learn to let go of unnecessary attachments, we find inner peace and freedom. In work, don't become too attached to a title or an achievement. When we understand that both success and failure are temporary, we can approach our work with a lighter mindset, free from the weight of pressure. Focus on the process rather than the outcome, enjoying every experience that work brings. Don't let stress or worries about the future overshadow the joy of the present. When we let go of unrealistic expectations toward ourselves and others, our work becomes more comfortable and meaningful. Understand that success and failure are both temporary, so work with a lighter heart, focusing on the journey and savoring the experiences along the way. In relationships, love freely, without control or possessiveness. People change over time, and so do relationships. When we appreciate every moment together without clinging, we create a pure love, untainted by the fear of loss. Practice deep listening, empathy, and acceptance of the other person as they truly are, rather than trying to change them according to your will. When we let go of unrealistic expectations of others, we experience peace in our relationships, making the connection stronger and more meaningful. In facing loss, when we lose something, a loved one, a job, or an opportunity, remember that everything has its time. Nothing lasts forever, not even ourselves. Instead of letting loss become a burden, see it as a natural part of life. Take time to appreciate what was, cherish the beautiful memories, but also open your heart to new possibilities. Every ending carries with it the opportunity for a new beginning. By accepting impermanence, we find peace even in the most difficult times. In daily life, practice letting go through the little things by being less attached to judgments, not letting negative emotions dominate your mind, and learning to accept things beyond your control. When you let go of mental burdens, you will find true peace in every moment you live. After exploring the deep aspects of impermanence and letting go, we can see that these are not just abstract philosophies, but keys to living a lighter, more serene life. Impermanence is not something to fear. It is the natural essence of all things. When we understand and accept this, we are no longer caught in the whirlwind of worry and fear. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means learning to love without attachment, living fully without clinging. When we allow things to come and go like the natural flow of life, we experience profound peace within our hearts. So are you ready to practice letting go today? Try observing the small changes in your life and accept them with a peaceful mindset. When you no longer fear impermanence, that is when you will truly be free. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to help spread positive values to more people.